All right. As that was going down, I realized that that was my old little countdown timer thing, whatever you want to call it. Whatever, doesn't really matter. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. It's been a couple weeks, I believe, since we've last done a live show. And I was like, you know what? I was like, despite there not really being any like massive blockbuster crazy news, I was like, there actually is kind of a lot to talk about here. And I'm going to be a little selfish here, you guys. And look, first off, I appreciate everybody who watches me strictly for my Phoenix Suns content. But later in the show, I'm going to talk like the NBA draft and just my thoughts about the draft. Not necessarily like Phoenix Suns targets in the NBA draft. That will be another live show, probably next, soon. That because first off, the draft is like 2 weeks away at the time of this recording. So definitely going to have more Suns related draft content and stuff. But I kind of just want to talk about the 2024 NBA draft later. But we do got some Suns news that I do want to talk about here. So I appreciate everybody that is here, you guys. We got Jimbo Slice, who is in here. Says Trey Nurk. We got Jason Ham. And we got Kevin. I appreciate you being here, man. And thank you to everybody who is watching along live and or is watching later. Like I said, if you are a Suns content creator or if you're a Suns podcaster, if you look hard enough, there's actually a lot of Suns news and things to talk about. I call it Suns news, but in reality, it's just there's a lot of Suns things to talk about. So I want to start off with news that actually was announced yesterday. And in a weird way, one of these reports was announced like a couple weeks ago, I believe, but they made it official. And then we're going to talk about a coaching hire that was announced earlier today. So let's go ahead and do that. But first off, you guys, some Phoenix Suns front office news. And I do think that this is important here. Okay. Let me just full screen this. Okay. So here we're on suns.com. If you guys can see, let me make sure this is yep. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, let's go down here. Let me lower this graphic. Okay. So the Phoenix Suns officially this time, because I believe Matt Tellem was announced not too long ago, but the Phoenix Suns officially have added Matt Tellem and Brian Gregory to the basketball operations staff. And in my opinion, you guys, this is pretty important news, you guys. Now I'm just going to read you guys a couple of quotes. But first off, it's on the screen if you want to pause later and watch and read the entire article. But let me just kind of read you guys the headlines here. Let me just click this. Sorry, guys. You already know the drill, one-man show. So the Phoenix Suns announced today the additions of Matt Tellem as assistant general manager. More thoughts on that later. And Brian Gregory as vice president of player programming. This is a quote from James Jones, the current Suns basketball president or president of basketball operations. We are excited to add Matt and Brian to our basketball operations team. Matt's insight and strategic thinking are highly regarded throughout the NBA and will elevate our team. Brian's expansive coaching and development experience uniquely positions him to assist our coaches and players. Now, real quick, let's start with Matt Tellem. I believe I made a YouTube short on Matt Tellem and kind of just gave you guys some facts and what I read about him. But if you guys are a fan or if you know of Bobby Marks from ESPN, who I'm a big fan of Bobby Marks, I think he does a great job covering the league. I think he has a really great basketball mind. I love his work on ESPN and the podcast that he's on and everything. I think he does a great job. But he spoke very highly of Matt Tellem and even quote tweeted when the official announcement was announced about Matt Tellem, even quote tweeted it saying, giving him very high praise, called him a salary capologist or a cap guru or whatever it was. But in short, gave him very, very high praise and credit. And again, check out the YouTube short that I uploaded a while back. And let's just say I personally believe this hiring for Matt Tellem is a good move, my personal opinion, because this is a guy who with all the new CBA rules and restrictions, and the Suns being in the second apron, and the Suns owing like hundreds of thousands of dollars past the luxury tax, whatever, blah, 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 salary cap nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Matt Tellem is the kind of guy that you want in your front office to help kind of navigate, maybe give you some wiggle room here and there and figure it out. And I believe when he was with the Brooklyn Nets, he was part of like their strategy team or something like that. And in terms of Brian Gregory, I don't really know too much about him, but as it's written here, he's the vice president of programming. And if you read James Jones's quote, he's going to be, it says, Brian's expansive coaching and development experience uniquely positions him to assist our coaches and players. So I feel like he's going to do whatever work he's going to do. He's going to bring his experience to the front office, but he might be able to contribute just a little bit with our assistant coaches and players. And I have some more thoughts on that later, by the way, but I'm just saying I like these hirings. And look, you guys, I don't mean to sound bitter and selfish here. No, that's poor wording. I don't mean to sound bitter and salty, not selfish. I don't mean to sound bitter and salty here, but the way I look at it as a fan and somebody who covers this team, we saw what happened last season. I don't even want to revisit it. Last season was a disaster. We saw what happened in the playoffs against the Nuggets. The year before that, we saw what happened in the playoffs versus the Mavericks. Clearly, whoever was in those front offices, and I know there was a lot of turnover with the Sarver stuff and that whole saga, and Matt Ishbia coming in and bringing in all his people. But clearly, these front office people, saying this respectfully, it was not getting it done. And I believe, I don't know if it was like Trevor Buckstein or something like that. I think he was with the Phoenix Suns for like decades, and he has now been let go. And Morgan Kano, who came in kind of after the Robert Sarver stuff, she's now gone. And probably some other front office people that I'm forgetting to mention. They're all gone now. And the way I look at it as a fan, bringing in somebody who is highly regarded around the league, like Matt Tellem, not Mike Tellem, Matt Tellem, and bringing in Brian Gregory and everything. And we're probably going to hire more front office people. I believe that is the right move in my personal opinion, because again, front office wasn't really getting it done. And I'm going to full screen myself when I say this here. And this is kind of sticking around with the whole me sounding bitter and salty, but it is true. And look, I've said this a million times. I will say it a million times over again. I do not wish for anybody to lose their job. Sorry if I hit my microphone, by the way, and it makes a bad noise. I apologize, y'all. But look, I do not wish for anybody to lose their job, because I would not want to lose my job. But these front office hirings and whatever is next to come after that, it keeps me asking the question. And I know James Jones was in the quote, and he probably had to sign off on these hirings, but it kind of makes me keep raising the question. Is James Jones's job on the line? And I think that's a fair question to ask, because of what I just said not too long ago. We saw the disastrous season that we had this year, the embarrassing playoff exits back to back, losing in the finals, if you want to go that far back. And look, James Jones has done an incredible job in lots of areas of this team. And, but at the same time, he's also made a lot of shaky decisions and questionable decisions. Even a fanboy like me has questioned a lot of the decisions that he's made. And I even listened to Brandon Clean from Locked On Suns talk about this, where it's like, is James Jones? I forgot what the episode was called, but he was like, is this James Jones's last chance? And I made a video talking about this. I think it was one of my previous live shows. I was like, I think it's a fair question to ask if James Jones is on the hot seat. And that's not to be rude. That's not me being like, oh, everybody deserves to be fired and James Jones needs to go, blah, blah, blah. No, like, I'm not like that, y'all. Like, I might have been a victim of the moment after the Game 3 loss. And obviously after we got eliminated, I was a complete victim of the moment. I was petty, I was upset, I was drunk. but like, but you know, I just think with these new front office hirings, it's a it's maybe like, hey, James Jones, this is your last chance. Because if not, we got people under you that are highly regarded around the league and could maybe bring some new things to this team, new ideas. And we will just have to see. I probably went way too long with covering that front office hire, or front office hires, I should say. So we're just gonna have to wait and see, and we'll see we'll see what comes next. But I thought that was worth talking about, especially with the whole James Jones on the hot seat and everything. I still do believe it, and like I've said multiple times on this channel, I know I sound like a broken record. It also kind of goes for not just James Jones. I'm sure there's a lot of other GMs and president of basketball ops that I'm forgetting about here, but I kind of like to pick on the Lakers GM and president basketball of operations. I like to pick on Rob Pelinka a little bit. And I completely forgot who said it originally, but they said it so perfectly. But it was like, when does Rob Pelinka start taking the fall instead of all the coaches? And now it's kind of like that with the Phoenix Suns. Like, when does James Jones take the fall? You know, and I feel like we're gonna have that. I feel like I'm gonna repeat that all season long if things get bad. When does James Jones start taking the fall? You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's like lots of other GMs and president of basketball ops that I could be mentioning, but like there was a graphic today, I think on ESPN, that said like the Lakers haven't had like a head coach for like 3 straight seasons or something like that since Phil Jackson, something along those lines. And I really wanted to quote tweet that graphic with saying, well, when does Rob Pelinka get fired? Like, I don't know. Anyways, we're not here to talk about the Lakers. We're here to talk about the Suns. So congratulations to Matt Tellem and Brian Gregory. Definitely felt like that was worth covering. So the next news that I wanted to talk about, this is a little more interesting in a way. Now, look, I do not know college basketball at all, so take this with a grain of salt, y'all. Especially when I talk about the draft stuff later, please take it with a grain of salt. I am far from a college basketball expert. I am far from a NBA draft expert, but I feel like this is worth discussing. And I've seen some feedback on Twitter, and it looks positive. Appreciate you, So Says Jay, for being here. Shout out to Fanning the Flames podcast. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here, bro. And thank you to everybody that's here. I see my guy Super Mario Hoops is in here. Daniel, Chris, Top 5 Live, Kevin. Thank you guys for all being here. I appreciate it. Rowdy man, I will get to your question soon. If you have a question, I'll do my best to answer. I'll try to get to the comments, but we got a lot to talk about here, y'all. So I want to kind of focus on that. So at least where I live, this news came out really early in the morning, and I am not a morning person. I'm a night owl, but I happen to be awake around the time this tweet and report came out. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see. Joey, appreciate you being here, man. Let's zoom in a little bit. Can you guys see that okay? Let me take a sip of my water real quick, and we will talk about this coaching hire. So earlier this morning, the Phoenix Suns, and Woj was confirming this with Pete Hamill. I hope I pronounced that right. ESPN sources with Pete Hamill. Former University of Washington head coach Mike Hopkins, a 2-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year, has agreed on a deal to become an assistant for the Phoenix Suns. Hopkins joins Mike Budenholzer's new staff after 3 decades in college basketball. Now, look, even though I don't really know college basketball that well, I have heard this name before, but like I knew like very little to nothing about him, but I've heard that name before. And I mean, I know it's a small tweet. We're going to dive into the story in a minute, but 2-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year, and has had 3 decades, not 3 years, 3 decades in college basketball. So pretty much the amount of time that I have been on this earth, this guy has been coaching in college basketball. So Mike Hopkins joins the Phoenix Suns. And if we go to the ESPN article, let me just scroll down a little bit here. This is from Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. See if you guys can see that okay. Let me lower this graphic here. Here we go. Uh-oh. Your browser has lost connection. What's going on? We still live, y'all? I think we're still live. I don't know what's going on. Let me know if we're still live, y'all. Casey says, Suns Geek is live. Must have to do with the Phoenix Suns. I hope we're still live. I got like a little notification saying that my browser was doing something, but appreciate you being here, Casey. All right, cool. Hopefully we're still live. Anyways, thank you, the Waters. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right, cool. So yeah, this is from the ESPN article, and it's a short article. It's just kind of sweet and straight to the point. But after 7 seasons with the Huskies and 30 plus overall, I don't know if he meant to say years, and 30 plus overall in college basketball, Hopkins joins Mike Budenholzer's new coaching staff that will include David Fizdale and Chad Forcier. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Hopkins had a 122 to 110 record with Washington, including a 2019 conference title and an NCAA tournament bid. And it says that he played for Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, spent 22 years as an assistant on his coaching staff. So he was an assistant for 22 years with one of the greatest coaches in college basketball. So that has to count for something. And quote, I don't know if y'all will be able to see this, but I'm going to kind of hover over it. Hopkins also has experience coaching NBA players during his time on the coaching staff for USA Basketball. So y'all, like, I don't want to like overhype this hiring or anything, but first off, he's a 2-time, Pac-12 Coach of the Year, 30 years plus of coaching experience, was an assistant coach for 22 years for one of the greatest coaches ever, and has coaching experience with NBA players, not just like NBA players, but superstars, rising stars, young NBA players because of US coaching in USA Basketball. That is awesome. That is a hell of a hire. So even though I was just criticizing James Jones, great job, James Jones, and whoever else signed off on this. I think this is an excellent hire. That should get Suns fans excited. Now, not included in the article here, because I don't know if it's been made official. That's why I haven't really talked about it yet. The Suns also hired, first off, David Fizdale stayed on the staff because there was a report saying like David Fizdale may not come back as a coach, but he's going to join the front office because he, was part of the Jazz front office for a couple of years. Every other coach from the Suns and Frank Vogel stuff got let go. But I believe there was a report about Vince Lagarza, however you pronounce that he was hired, although I don't know if it's actually been made official because Woj didn't put that in his report, but he did put in the report Chasen Allen, if that's how you pronounce it, who most recently served as the head coach of the Wisconsin Herd in the NBA G League affiliate, the Bucks. But we'll see. I'm sure there's probably like 3 or 4 other coaching spots and assistant coaches that will have to be announced. I'm sure sometime before the season, the Suns will put out a big article saying 2024-25 coaching staff Phoenix Suns, and they'll have a breakdown of all the coaches and resumes and all that. So we will have to see on that. But hey, I mean, with Mike Hopkins, definitely seems like a slam dunk, and I am excited. So great job, Phoenix Suns. That's the kind of stuff I want to see from James Jones, who I criticize from time to time. All right. So let's keep moving on here, you guys. Let's focus in on, you know what? We're going to kind of save the draft stuff for last. Now, look, this is just clearly a rumor. In fact, I don't even know if I want to like label it as a rumor, because technically, not technically, because this player is still under contract for this upcoming season. So for the 2024-25 season. So it's like a light rumor. I don't even know how to technically say what this is, but there was a tweet that was put out, and that's a lot of this show is me just kind of reacting to tweets. You guys know how I do things here. So there was a tweet that was put out, and I guess this is all really coming from somebody who covers the Golden State Warriors, I believe. And so maybe he heard it from a source, and this will eventually become like official. I don't know, but I feel like it's at least worth spending a few minutes on. But let's talk about Kevon Looney. And I'm not sure if other Suns podcasts have covered this already. Whatever. You guys are here for my opinion, so I'm going to give it to you guys. And I appreciate you guys for letting me do that. So, I always butcher this guy's last name, and I'm probably going to butcher the other last name, but I'm going to do my best. Please forgive me in the comments, y'all. Evan Sedri, or Sediri, however you pronounce that. Evan Sedri puts out, Kevon Looney will likely be released by the Warriors to save money on their tax bill per Tim Kakame. I probably butchered that. I do apologize. So according to somebody who covers the Warriors, Kevon Looney will likely be released by the Warriors to save money on their tax bill. Only $3 million of Kevon Looney's $8 million salary is fully guaranteed until it fully locks in on June 24th. If Kevon Looney is released, expect plenty of interest. Now, again, I didn't listen to what that podcast guy said. It's linked if you guys want to go check it out in Evan's tweet here. And Evan is right. You know, he is still under contract. You can go to Spot Track. You can look up his contract and everything. Technically, it's for $8 million, but only $3 million of it's guaranteed because the Warriors didn't win the championship. And I did read a quote here that says, and I assume this is from the Warriors Plus Minus podcast. That's where all this is coming from, I believe. Quote, I think the likeliest situation is that he's cut and he makes $3 million from the Warriors and he's off looking for another spot because, again, that $3 million is guaranteed. And there will be another spot for him in this league. Kwakami, I hope I pronounced that right, said on the Warriors Plus Minus podcast, quote, teams are going to want him again for a very low number if they're going to want him. And then also, sorry, I'm just reading something real quick. Okay, cool. And then also I saw Gerald Bourguet from PHNX, who does great work. He's been writing like crazy. He just does incredible work. Gerald Bourguet said this. He kind of did like a deeper dive on Kevon Looney. And after the show, I'll put the link in the description. You guys can read it. It's on gophnx.com. Suns centers, targets, vet minimum, 2024 free agency. Very bottom, it's on Kevon Looney. This was one of Gerald's quotes here. And I quote, if Kevon Looney becomes available, there simply isn't a better option that could be had in free agency at a vet minimum price tag. Not only would he serve as a high-end backup, but he's one of the few bigs on this list capable of starting in a playoff setting and holding his own, close quote. So, Kevon Looney, y'all. And I meant to do this sooner, but let me just look up his stats. Not really like stats are everything, but it's important. So last season, I'm looking it up here. I'll share the screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. Here's Kevon Looney's stats. Played in 74 games, so was pretty much healthy. Because remember, the league minimum now to win awards is 65 games, so he played in 74. Only 4 points per game, 5.7 rebounds. You probably want to see that get a little higher, but a real thing to factor in here is, I forgot his name like Jackson Davis or something like that. Their other young rookie forward, center, or whatever. He took a lot of minutes because he kind of had like his breakout season, if you will. Kevon Looney also shot nearly 60% from the field, by the way. Not a great free throw shooter either, 67.5%, not great. But he's played in 523 games throughout his career. Not to mention he's a 3-time NBA champion. And that's another thing that I think is really important. Whether you've won 1 title or you've won 3 or you've won 10, winning a championship, it's a lot. Like you have that experience. You know what to do in certain situations. You have all that playing time and experience and stories you can bring to a team. So anybody who has a ring that comes to the Phoenix Suns, I think is an instant impact. Like Damian Lee, like I know he didn't play all last season, but the dude has won a ring before. That's got to count for something. Like going back to Matt Hopkins or Mike Hopkins, the Washington coach that we just hired that I completely forgot his name. Like that dude, you know, I know he hasn't won like a college championship, but like the dude has so many years of experience from one of the greatest coaches ever. It's like that's got to be worth something. You know what I mean? Like all that experience has to be worth something, especially coming to a team with championship aspirations and pressure and excitement and whatever word you want to use. Coming to a team like the Phoenix Suns, that is huge. I will take that. And again, just remember, you guys, he's still under contract. And with all due respect to Kevon Looney, because I've always liked Kevon Looney. I would welcome a Kevon Looney for the right price. But when I was reading all this and kind of prepping for the live show, I couldn't stop thinking about, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm a bigger fan of Andre Drummond, and maybe my guy Super Mario Hoops, who's in here, will completely disagree with me and tell me why we should not pursue Andre Drummond. I kept thinking like Andre Drummond or like probably like 5 other targets that I would want. And that's no disrespect to Kevon Looney. Like I get it. I see the vision. I do. Heck, who knows? Maybe the Phoenix Suns go out and get him and he's like a great impact player. And I'm just sitting here eating my words, but like, I don't know. Like I would prefer like an Andre Drummond. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think though. Would you want the Phoenix Suns, if Kevon Looney does become a free agent, would you want the Phoenix Suns to pursue Kevon Looney? Especially for the minimum. If it's for the minimum, why not? And like Saul says right here, why not both, Geek? Screw it. Let's do it, man. Like, I'm down. Like, just say, hey, we got a new coaching staff. We got new front office people. We got our big 3. Come here and win a championship on the vet minimum. Go get both of them. Like Raymond just says yes. Like, yes. Go get both of them. Screw it. You know what I mean? Like, I agree. Now, I probably should have focused a lot of this show with the whole Nurkic stuff. And first off, those are just rumors too, by the way. I know there's a lot of like stuff going around like Nurkic could get thrown in this. I know. I am not there yet as a content creator, podcast, or whatever you want to call me. I am not there yet. I'm not there in my mind with the whole Nurkic trade stuff. But I will say this, you guys. With the draft being in T-minus 2 weeks, maybe I should start prepping for potential use of Nurkic trades. Now, again, nothing is official. There has been no report. There's been nothing of real credibility or whatever sources that have said, yeah, the Suns are actively pursuing a Nurkic trade. No, that has not been reported. Like, even Mike Budenholzer, when he was hired, was like, yeah, we have our starting 5 like under contract, like, or he said something like that, but he mentioned the starting 5. And I know with Mike Budenholzer in his system, Nurk may not be the best fit, but I would make a few arguments for keeping Nurkic. I don't know. But again, let's stay on topic here, y'all. Like, I love what Saul said. Like, why not both? Go get Kevon Looney on the minimum, and let's see if we can talk Andre Drummond for a fair price. And that's what I said. When I made that YouTube short about Andre Drummond, I said, like, what is Andre Drummond's price? And like, I would, if I was the GM of the Phoenix Suns, I would pay a decent amount, but not like, I wouldn't overpay it. As big of a fan as I am of Drummond, I would not like overpay for Andre Drummond. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? How are you guys doing? You guys doing okay? We got a lot to talk about here, y'all. You know how usually during these shows I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a short show, or this is gonna be like an hour show. I'm like, y'all, this show might go like an hour and a half. Because I'm already past 32 minutes and we still got a lot more to talk about. So if you're watching, let me know what you're drinking in the comments. I have a little bit of coffee in here because I kind of needed that caffeine boost. But don't worry, I got my water. I've been drinking water all day. So I'm going to take a sip of my water. We got lots more to talk about, y'all. Strap in, get ready, and cheers. Let me know what you're drinking in the comments or eating because I just got done eating too. So, yeah. Just a little bit of coffee, y'all. For those of you who know me on a personal level, I'll be real with you guys for a minute. I've lowered my caffeine intake and coffee intake. I still struggle with like ice cream and junk food and all that, but I maybe only have like 1 or 2 cups of coffee a week now, as compared to when I would drink like a cup of coffee a day. And I have gone completely cold turkey on energy drinks. God is my witness. I have not had an energy drink since October. I went completely cold turkey on him. Rowdy Man 777 says drinking a passion fruit LaCroix. Is that how you say that? That's cool, man. All right, y'all. Last thing on the Kevon Looney thing. Kind of like I said, Looney is a champion. He is experienced. Love the move. Yeah, like I didn't even talk about his experience. Like, well, I kind of mentioned the games. He's played in over 500 NBA games, but he's played in some pivotal NBA playoff games, NBA finals games, and the dude's been there. He's been through the fire, if you will. Like, the dude's experience would be huge. And think of the players he's played with. Even though I hate him now, like Draymond Green and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, been coached by Steve Kerr and Bob Myers was their GM. Like, the dude's got experience. Let's do it. Go bring Kevon Looney in on the minimum. Just do it. Warriors, it's time to face facts. You guys got to just keep Steph Curry around, do a strong retool around that, let everyone else go. Embrace the future. Keep Steph Curry for as long as possible. But anyways. All right, y'all. I like the Andre Drummond move better than Kevon Looney because I feel for some reason he's more reliable and that you'll know he'll do his job. Yeah, y'all, like I could do a whole, not really a whole show, but I could do a decent amount of show on Andre Drummond, why I'm a big fan of him. I mean, the dude, oh, by the way, I think Kevon Looney's only 28, 29. Someone fact check me on that. Andre Drummond's like 30. It feels like the dude's been in the league forever, but he's only 30, y'all. Like, he still fits our timeline. Go get both of them, man. All right, can we finally move on here? I'm sorry, y'all. Trying to stay on topic here. But let's kind of focus in on the draft. And then what we're going to do, y'all, is we're going to talk a little Suns draft here. So, yes, this is a little bit Suns draft. Then we're going to talk about just the NBA draft as a whole, not really Suns related. And then we're going to get into like some what I call silly season stuff. And you'll see what I'm talking about later with that. So let's talk just a little bit of the Suns draft. Now, before we talk about anything in terms of the Suns draft, and I had a tweet about this yesterday, and I even posted it on my community page on YouTube. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, mean this. And I'm trying not to sound negative when I say this, y'all. And I hope this doesn't come off as like lazy, but it's kind of true. And if you saw my tweet yesterday, you know what I'm talking about. Oops, I hit my microphone. I'm sorry, y'all. It is so okay. As somebody who is a content creator, podcaster, whatever you want to call me, it is so difficult. Maybe difficult's not the right word. It is so challenging, difficult, whatever word you want to use. It is so blank to do Suns draft homework, as I call it. I call it draft homework. It's so challenging, difficult, whatever word you want to use, to do Suns draft homework because of these simple facts. And kind of the harsh reality is, one, our Suns draft history. And no, I'm not just talking about Luka. The way the Suns have drafted, and this goes back to James Jones, by the way. We're going full circle here, y'all, with the James Jones stuff. It seems like ever since James Jones became our GM, he's made some very questionable draft decisions. And look, you know, the Cam Johnson one was nice. I'll give him that. That was a steal if you think about it. Although we kind of did like trade up for him. But anyways, whatever. It's done with. Whatever. The reason it's difficult to do draft homework, for me personally, I'm just talking for Brandon Suns Geek here. It's difficult for me to do draft homework because of the Suns draft history. It's really that simple. But because our GM and our owner, it's not all just on James Jones. Matt Ishbia even said something along the lines of, well, with the Phoenix Suns, we view draft picks as assets to get good players. He said something along those lines. And that's coming from Matt Ishbia. You can go to the end of the season press conference and re-listen to that, where he was talking about, we're not thinking about the seventh grader, you know, in 2031 or whatever. We're thinking about the now, which to an extent, I agree with. I see the vision. But even before Matt Ishbia said that, James Jones has been so questionable with his draft decisions. And it's not even just the players he's passed on. And it's not just the players that he's drafted. We've talked about all that. I've covered that. I've seen other podcasts and Suns shows talk about that. It's the way that James Jones like views scouting. I put scouting in quotations. The way that he scouts. Now, in all fairness, there was that one photo after Mike Budenholzer got hired where he was sitting with Mike Budenholzer and they both at the draft combine. That's scouting. So good, James Jones. Maybe you're learning here. But it's hard for me to do draft homework when our GM and our owner, the guys that make the big decisions, are like, nah, we view draft picks as trade assets. So look, y'all, like, don't get me wrong. I love doing the Suns content. I never want to stop doing the Suns content. I want to do this for as long as I can mentally and physically do it. But like, why should I like waste my time, my personal time, doing all this Suns draft homework when on draft day, that pick could be gone like that? You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds selfish, but it's true. Like, you know what I mean? Like, am I crazy? Am I wrong for saying that? If I'm wrong, someone tell me in the comments. Not that I'm trying to start an argument, but like, am I wrong for like not believing our GM and owner for like, oh yeah, they're going to keep the pick. Like, we're going to have a rookie in here. This, I don't trust them. I don't. So, and look, not just that. And I did include this in my tweet and in my post. It's not just that. I also said this. This is one of the most, if not the most, unpredictable draft classes ever. And I know you could say that about like a lot of draft classes, but this one especially. Like, even if you know nothing about this draft class, and heck, even though I've been doing draft homework for about a week or two now, I've actually sat down and read articles. I've watched a little film on certain players. I have a whole bunch of notes and lists and names. Um, this is a very unpredictable draft. A lot of people are labeling it as a weak draft class, and I understand that. So that's my point. Even if you know nothing about this draft class, I will fill you in right now. It is a unpredictable draft class. So, like, why waste my time doing all this homework, making all these videos, doing this live shows? And the Suns should draft this guy. The Suns should draft this guy. When in reality, we could all wake up on draft day, get a Woj bomb, and oh, the Suns traded their number 22 overall pick. You know what I mean? Thank you, Jason, who says, no, you're not, because I thought we were going to have a rookie last year, but we ended up trading him too, along with the Bradley Beal ones, the draft picks, the Bradley Beal picks, and the Kevin Durant picks. Exactly. I was excited for Tamani Kamara, even though I butchered his name on draft day. I didn't know nothing about him. I was excited. I was live when he was at Summer League. I was live on this channel reacting to it. I was really excited. And then the DeAndre Ayton, Damian Lillard trade happened, and he got thrown in there. And you know what I'm talking about, you guys? Am I crazy? Okay. Let's keep going on here. Because I think I spent a little too much time going on my little draft rant. But this does focus on the Suns here, y'all. So let's start here. Speaking of the Suns and the draft. Now, I saw this tweet a few days ago. This was posted on June 5th of, June 5th. And this is from one of my favorite follows on Suns Twitter. I highly recommend you go follow this person. At Suns Are Better. Tweeted this out on June 5th. Let's see if we can fix that, make it a little bigger. Okay, cool. Now, again, this was like from 10 days ago. I'm sure this list has been updated. And I think there was a couple names on here originally that weren't added on here at the time. But known Suns pre-draft workouts so far. Again, this is from June 5th. Bronny James, we all know that. I can't read this guy's name. Tristan Anaria from Cleveland State. I don't know who that is. Trenton Flowers from the Adelaide 36ers. Remember when the Adelaide 36ers beat us in an expedition preseason game or whatever, and we all panicked, including myself? Jalen Tyson from Cal, who I have done a little draft research on him. I'll just say this. I like him. I don't know if he's a good fit for the Suns, but I like him. Jalen Tyson from Cal. And then Jalen Williams from Auburn. I talked about him in a recent video. I like him. So Suns Are Better goes on to say, by the looks of it, it doesn't seem like they're going for a point guard or a center. Now, the reason I bring up this tweet from a few days ago is because he had a follow-up tweet, I believe just yesterday. I think he had a couple follow-up tweets, if I'm getting this correct. Yeah, so this was a follow-up tweet here, and then he has another one after this. Your browser connection has lost connection to your screen share audio. Try sharing your screen again. Restart your browser. This continues to be a problem. I don't know what's going on. Can y'all hear me? Hopefully y'all can hear me. Okay, cool. So this is the follow-up tweet. These don't really seem like prospects for the 22nd overall pick. According to ESPN's top 10, Jalen Tyson is ranked number 33. Bronny James, 52. Trenton Flowers, 61. Jalen Williams is 92 on the ESPN's top 100 board. Whoa. I think that dude's talented, man. Like, I talked about that in a recent video, dude. Like, check out Jalen Williams from Auburn if you haven't already. And then the other two guys aren't even ranked. So then he follows that tweet up by saying, undrafted free agents, ? Valley Suns recruits, ? By the way, I have more thoughts on that in a minute. Trading back, ? What are the Suns cooking? So then the tweet that I believe came out yesterday from Suns Are Better. Again, great follow on Twitter. Go check him out. Highly recommend it. He tweets this out. Now, this was from yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, June 10th. This is yesterday's tweet. Newest additions with ESPN rank of players that the Suns have brought in and drafted, or not drafted, players that the Suns have worked out that we know so far. AJ Mitchell, is that how you pronounce that? Point guard from UC Santa Barbara, ranked 44. Kashad Johnson from Arizona. Again, not a big college basketball guy. Forgive me if I butchered his name. Arizona fans, don't kill me. Jadon Lee D. Am I pronouncing the? I'm probably butchering these names, y'all. From San Diego State, 96. Mark Armstrong from Villanova, and Raekwon Battle from West Virginia. Now, Mark Armstrong and Raekwon Battle, I believe I read a report that they also were in that draft workout with Bronny James, and they stood out. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they stood out on. Might have been three-point shooting, but they were with that Bronny James workout, and they apparently stood out as well. And then he follows this tweet up by saying, more prospects projected in the second round or undrafted, ? And then I was responding to, I just put out like a tweet or whatever yesterday, and I don't know if this person's watching, but I did want to give him a little shout out here. Let me find the tweet here. Yeah, so shout out to I Am Lufa on Twitter. I don't know what that is, but I follow him. He follows me. Good follow and everything. I believe he's been in the chat a few times and is a subscriber, I believe. So I think I was responding to a tweet, or he responded to one of my tweets. Yeah. So I said, this being said, I'm still doing my best to educate on this year's draft class. Lots of notes. And he goes, in my opinion, a lot of potential role players in this draft, but no superstars. Now, real quick, talking about the draft as a whole, any draft class. I really mean this tweet when I say this, you guys. Any draft class. I said, yeah, we will have to wait and see. In my opinion, it takes a few years to judge a draft class. We can't just look at the 2023 draft class or the 2022 draft class and be like, oh, this draft class is terrible and blah, blah, blah. There'll be no all-stars, no superstar. We got to wait a few years. I believe the 2020 draft has had a lot of like solid role players and probably a couple all-stars if I remember correctly. And we just got to wait and see. But this draft class, the 2024 class, like I said, probably no superstars, but role players who will help you win championships. So then Lufa responds, and I really like this tweet. I even said I was going to talk about it on the live show. He said, facts, I'm mainly excited about this draft class because I do feel like there are some pretty solid players projected to go undrafted that the Suns could add to their new G League team. And I even responded saying, love this tweet, might talk about it on tomorrow's live show. That's why I wanted to focus in on the players that we know of that have worked out for the Phoenix Suns. That's kind of exciting in a way, at least for me anyways. It's exciting because sure, there's probably going to be a lot of undrafted guys in this draft. There might be guys that get selected that, maybe it just doesn't work out. And, maybe they're on their summer league teams and, it just doesn't work out. And then they become available somehow. And the G League Valley Suns are like, hey, we want this guy. You worked out for us. Remember, we talked to you. Because it's not just workouts, by the way. Like during these pre-draft workouts, they like talk to these players and not necessarily like interview them, but they talk to them, meet them, and get to know them a little bit. So, those things are important down the road. So maybe some of these like quote undrafted guys become free agents and then we can sign them to our G League team. And you're like, Suns Geek, why is that important? We don't care. We're trying to win a championship, Suns Geek. Well, I've seen a lot of Suns fans that have said, we need to be focused on the future. We need to be building up young players, yada, yada, yada. We should be trading for draft picks. Well, with a G League team, you can do that. You can bring in young talent, maybe find some diamonds in the rough. How many superstars, and I say superstars, how many all-stars have come from the G League? Countless names, y'all. Countless names have come from the G League. So even if the Suns trade this number 22 overall pick and they trade their 2031 pick, first off, we do have future picks. We don't have any picks next year, but we have future picks. They're just pick swaps. We could still bring in young guys to fill out. We're going to have to. We have to fill out our G League roster. Maybe some of these guys in the draft could be on that team. And we could be like, hey, this guy down the road could be pretty good. Maybe he could play for us. And guess what, you guys? If they're on our G League team, all James Jones has to do is pick up the phone, say, hey, we want this player to come play for us for like 10, 20, 30 days, whatever amount it is. Usually I think it's like 10 days. That's how it all starts, y'all. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like that's really important. Real quick, I want to get to a very generous, I'm very grateful for this very generous $20 super chat from Rob Bart. I appreciate you, man. You were in the last live show. You're very generous, man. Thank you so much. I owe you a beer one day if you drink. But anyways, we need to trade up for, now I'm going to butcher this name. Forgive me, y'all. Tyjon Salon. I totally butchered that name just like I do with Tamani Kamara. That means we're probably going to draft this guy because I don't know how to pronounce his name. His game can be translated to the NBA. He has a great catch and shoot game. Package the first round and Beal with another player. We needed someone for the future. So I wish you guys could see my draft notes. I'm not BSing you guys. Like, I actually have draft notes. I've done my homework, a little bit of homework. Clearly not that much homework because I don't know this guy that we're talking about, but this is one of the players I have not done much draft homework on, but I appreciate the insight. And again, I'm very generous for the $20 super chat. You didn't have to do that. If you guys want to, you do not have to. Leave a super sticker, leave a super chat. I'll pull it up. I'll be grateful. Even if it's like $1, it helps keep the lights on here. It helps pay the bills. And I would appreciate that. So, yeah, let me know if you guys think we should draft this guy whose name I cannot pronounce, and I apologize for that. Maybe next live show I'll be more educated on this draft class and I will know about this guy. Now, real quick, you know what? Since we're on Suns draft targets, let me be fair to you guys. Let me just name the players that I have done draft homework on. And if I butcher these names, please forgive me. It's a common theme on this show and in my videos that I butcher names. I'm just going to read you some names that I have read in terms of, Suns mock drafts or Suns like potential targets or just names that I have seen been floating around, whether it's Suns community, Suns articles, whatever. I'm not saying all these players I'm about to name are like the perfect fit for the 22 overall pick. The Suns should draft this player. No, I'm not saying that. These are just names that I have read and have done my, quote, homework on that I think are worth talking about. That's at least fair to you guys. You guys can see at least where my head is at if the Suns keep this pick. First off, this is no surprise to nobody if you've done your homework, and I do like this player, and I hope I'm saying this name right. Tyler Kolok from Marquette. Yeah. From the small amount of homework and the notes that I have taken, I'll just say this. Now, take my quote here, analysis, with a grain of salt, because I am not a draft expert. I am not a college basketball fan. Well, I mean, I'm not a college basketball expert is what I'm trying to say. Take my quote analysis here with a grain of salt. But think of like a discounted TJ McConnell, and I know that that's like a dream target for the Suns. That's never going to happen, by the way. Um, think of like a discount TJ McConnell, great playmaker, and kind of just a great fit for the Suns team. And especially with like Mike Budenholzer and his offensive system. Yeah, hopefully I said his name right too. Let's keep going here. Somebody who I recently started doing homework on, and I'm kind of low key a fan. Jonathan Furphy, not Murphy, Furphy, was from Australia, and I forgot where he played. Where did he play? Let's see. I have a picture of him right here. Kansas. Jonathan Furphy from Kansas. One quote that I read on him. Jonathan Furphy is yet another intriguing wing prospect from Kansas with his ability to space the floor / defend multiple positions. The Australian forward could be in range for the Suns at 22. I believe I read that on Sports Illustrated. Let's keep going here. Somebody who I mentioned earlier in the show, Jalen Tyson from Cal. By the way, Jaylen Brown is from Cal, if you guys didn't know that. So that's something. But yeah, just a player I've been reading a lot on and watched a little bit of film. I really like Jalen Tyson. I could see him maybe even rising in this draft and not even being available by the time the Suns draft. Darren Holmes the second. I've done a little bit of work on him, little draft homework, if you will. And then, I made a video not too long ago. Jalen Williams from Auburn. I see Jason Hammond here who says Kyle Filipkowski. I hope I said his name right. I've done a little research on him. He says, I like Kyle Filipkowski for the Suns because I see him as a Kristaps Porzingis. I feel like the coaching staff can make him do that. But I also like Bronny because I know he's going to get developed. Oh, and you left something out, Jason. If we get Bronny, we're getting LeBron James. You heard it here first on Suns Geek. But seriously. And then, there's the Bronny thing too. But I've talked about that way too much, y'all. But those are just some names, y'all. And I'll just quickly do this. This isn't just Suns targets. These are just players that I've read. And I think we talked about it earlier, but Jamal Sheed. Let's see who else that I've been reading on. I've done a little more research on Donovan Clingan. I've watched some film on Alex Sarr. Who else have I done work on here? Let's see. Yves Misi, is that how you pronounce it? That guy I've done a little homework on. Tyler Smith. I already mentioned Jalen Williams. Jalen Bridges. I saw some stuff going around about him. Like, I've done a decent amount of draft homework, y'all. So can we move on to just strictly talking about the draft for a minute? Now, this is not Suns related. So first off, we just reached the hour mark. I'm just going to give you guys a quick disclaimer. We are going to kind of focus on strictly just the draft stuff here. And I'm going to kind of get into like the quote silly season stuff, some stuff I want to react to that is Suns related. So tune back in a little bit later if you guys want to, or if you're watching later, fast forward, or just keep watching because it helps the channel if you do that. But I do just want to talk to you guys about the NBA draft. And I sort of talked a little bit about this earlier, but I want to kind of expand on it. Jason says it perfectly. Yes, sir. We can do whatever you want. This is your live. Exactly. Like, I'm going to be selfish, y'all, and I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about on my show, y'all. So first off, I need some water. My throat is parched. Give me a second here, y'all. Oh, delicious. So I'm going to try to go for at least another 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. So strap in, y'all, if you're still with me, guys. We got over 100 people in here. Crush that like button. Share the show. Tell people about Suns Geek, y'all. Cheers. Okay, real quick, I'm going to mute my mic and kind of adjust it for a second. So give me 1 second. Okay, hopefully we're still good. Okay. I want to talk about just the NBA draft. And I sort of talked about this earlier when I went on my James Jones, Matt Ishbia draft rant and all that. But I really believe this. First off, the most important thing, a lot of people may not know this because, again, it's not like this is the Victor Wemby draft. It's not like this is like Michael Jordan getting drafted or something like that. Like, it's okay if you don't know when the NBA draft is, but it's funny because I actually put this in my notes. The NBA draft is Wednesday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern time on ABC and ESPN if you guys have those channels. Now you're probably like, okay, Sons Geek, like who cares? That's just when the draft is. Well, guess what, you guys? For the first time in NBA history, the draft is now 2 days. And look, I am not a hot take channel. I try not to do hot takes. I try my best to stay away from clickbait. This is where I'll get a little hot take, if you will. You know what, you guys? I actually like the fact that the draft is now 2 days. I like it. Maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe I'm crazy. I like it. And here's why. First off, before I expand on those thoughts, day 2 of the NBA draft for the first time in NBA history will be in the afternoon, June 27th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, I read a quote from Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press. He made a good point. He pointed out that last year's draft was almost 5 hours and, quote, didn't end until approximately 12:45 a.m. Eastern time. 5 hours, y'all. 5 hours. And that has been for as long as I can remember that the draft runs late into the night. They have never, well, I mean, like, at least televised drafts. They've never had a draft that has been like, at least if I can't remember, but from what I remember, at least the last couple decades, the draft has only been 2 rounds all on the same night. For the first time in history, they're doing it 2 separate nights. Even if like back in the day, like way, way long ago, if it was like round 4, round 5, it was all on the same night, I believe. Someone fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So for the first time ever, they are doing the draft on 2 separate nights. Here's why I like it. Put yourself, at least that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put myself in the GM owner's shoes. I'm going to put myself in the assistant GMs and all the, I call it the war room. Like if you guys are big football fans, the war room, I'm going to put myself in those shoes. You now have pretty much an extra day, like 12 hours, almost 20 hours, whatever it is. You have so much extra time to, first off, see what happens in day 1 of the draft. Like, let's keep it on the Suns for a minute. Will the Suns trade their 22nd overall pick? Do the Suns trade another player? We'll see how that shakes out. What do the Atlanta Hawks do since they're drafting number 1 overall? Do they trade Trae Young or do they trade DeJounte Murray? Do they trade player X? What do, like, I don't know, the OKC Thunder do with their millions of draft picks that they have? By the way, the Thunder have the 12th pick, by the way, and they were one of the best teams in the league and made the second round of the playoffs. That's nuts. Anyways, can I do my terrible Michael Keaton impression from the 1989 Batman? You guys ready for this? You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Okay, sorry. Anyways. So that's why I think it's important. And I think that's where I get a little hot takey here, saying that I like how the NBA has finally done 2 days of the draft instead of 1. Because if we go back putting our GM shoes on, these GMs and the war room and all these other players, they now have an extra day to really think, man, should we draft this player or should we trade the pick? You know what I mean? That could really, like, for better or worse, could really like impact certain moves and certain teams going forward. And I like that. And like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, no one's going to watch the second round. And I understand that. Like, who knows? Day one's ratings could go way up. You know, the first round could get tons of views, even if it is a weak draft class. I'm sure it's going to get tons of ratings, tons of views or whatever. Day two could go. Bleh. Now, look, I don't think the NBA was anticipating this. And no, I'm not talking politics here, but I think there's a presidential debate that night. I don't think the NBA was anticipating that. They can't control that. That's not their fault. So, you know, obviously with that going on, and I think that's why day two starts very early. Now, just so we are confirming here, day two starts at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I think that's my time, like 3 or 2 o'clock. I'm sure the presidential debate is later in that night. So they probably are like, hey, we got to wrap this up. Yeah. But I like it, y'all. I think it's a good move. I would like to see them do it again next year, even if the ratings for day two aren't great. Maybe I'm alone on that. I don't know how others feel about it. I don't know how you feel about it, but I welcome it. Heck, maybe in the future do 3 days. I know that sounds crazy, but I also took notes on that too. I was reading this on Bleacher Report. Quote, by comparison, the NFL draft is held across 3 different days, with the first round on a Thursday, second and third rounds on a Friday, and 4th through 7th rounds on a Saturday. I know if you guys are big football fans, which I know a lot of you guys are, you guys know what I'm talking about. And even though I know nothing about football, I've always liked how they've done, you know, the draft like 3-4 days or whatever. So we'll see, y'all. I like it. I think the NBA draft, them going 2 days is good. So just to recap the days, if you guys don't know, the draft is June 26, round 1, picks 1 through 30, June 26, and I believe it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time on ABC and ESPN. Second round in the afternoon, Thursday, June 27th, 4 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. And quick programming note, just so you guys know, if you've made it this far into the live show, if you've made it this far in the rewatch or re-listen, I will be live both of those days. I'll be live reacting to every pick, talking draft, talking Suns basketball, talking about whatever. Because if you guys didn't know this does go back to the Suns. The Suns cannot trade the 22nd overall pick until draft day. So if you're just tuning in, if you're just listening in, I'll repeat it for you guys. The Suns cannot trade the 22nd overall pick until draft day, which is why I went on that big rant earlier about why should I waste my time doing draft homework when on draft day we could all wake up and the pick could be traded. I don't know. So I want to move on here. Should we get to the silly stuff? Before we get to the silly stuff, which is sort of draft related, I kind of wanted to do these draft conversations and this draft talk because I kind of want it to be like a quote series on this channel, kind of. The draft is in 2 weeks. And I am anticipating, I am hoping, planning on doing a lot more live shows throughout these next 2 weeks. And a lot of it is going to be draft talk. And I will do my absolute best to try to get as much knowledge in this brain about the Suns draft class and potential targets. And we will do shows on that. Maybe I'll get some people on here that know a lot more than I do. But really, I just want to just keep talking about the draft class. You know what I mean? So that will be in future shows. Hey, Lufa, appreciate you being here, man. I reacted to that tweet earlier. Like I said, appreciate you being here, man. Okay. You know what? Before we get to the silly stuff, let's read some comments. So if you have questions, you have comments, get them in now. Then we're gonna get to some silly stuff, kind of. Real quick, I want to talk about this. I don't want to sound like I'm right about everything, because trust me, I was wrong about a lot of stuff this past season, and I will be wrong in the future. Top 5 Live asks, is there any way possible we can trade for Miles Turner? I'm not laughing at your question, Top 5 Live. I just want to say this. I'm going to get bitter here. I'm going to get salty here for a minute. I made a video not too long ago. It might have been a long time ago, when the DeAndre Ayton stuff was going on and Miles Turner was like connected in those trade rumors. I made a video talking about that. And I don't know who it was. I'm not pointing any fingers here, but I kind of looked like a crazy person for suggesting the Suns should trade DeAndre Ayton for Miles Turner. And now look at us. Now Miles Turner is like the hot topic. At least he was during the Eastern Conference. Miles Turner would be an incredible fit on this team. And look, I'm not saying I'm right about everything. And I don't mean to sound rude when I answer this question. There is no possible way the Suns can trade for Miles Turner, just like there is no possible way the Suns can trade for TJ McConnell. Now, I say that because of this. Because Miles Turner was pretty damn good during the playoffs. You think the Pacers, who just reached the Eastern Conference Finals, are going to say, you know what, Miles Turner, sorry, bro. It's not working out, man. You played great for us this playoffs, but sorry, it's not working out. No, they're not going to do that. And I think there was even a report, and I quote here, that the Pacers want to bring in Miles Turner for like a lifetime, like sign Miles Turner for, quote, a lifetime contract, which I don't think that's possible, but you get my point. They want him to play there for the rest of the career. I can see them doing that with Miles Turner. It makes sense, too. Keep him with Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton and all their other young talent. Maybe bring in a few extra new guys. Like, they're not trading Miles Turner, y'all. I'm sorry. That time has passed. Now, look, I could be wrong, though. Anything's possible. Maybe the Pacers say, you know what, we're good with Pascal Siakam, and we do want to trade Miles Turner for more assets and more players. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm eating my words. I will eat crow or whatever if that happens. But right now, on what's today, June 11th, 2024, right now, there's no way we can get Miles Turner. Would I like Miles Turner, especially in Mike Budenholzer's system? Hell yeah. It's just not happening. Christopher says, we are here for you, Geek. Anything about ball suits us as long as the Geek is live. I appreciate you, man. Super Mario Hoop says, Matt should not tell him to not go after LeBron / Bronny. More than likely, KD has a strong input in this move. I agree. I think he was talking about the front office moves and the coaching moves and all that. So, question I want to get to earlier, and I'll do my best to answer this. I don't know if this is going to be the best analysis here. Rowdyman777 asks, do you think Budenholzer is really all that different from Vogel? Both defensive-minded coaches with superstar defensive big men who were fired by their teams only a couple years ago. Oh, man. First off, in all fairness to Coach Bud, maybe I'm siding with Coach Bud because he's our coach now. I don't know if I would like necessarily stamp Mike Budenholzer as he's a super great defensive coach. Not saying he's like a terrible defensive coach, but I think that really is more on Vogel than it is Mike Budenholzer. I mean, I don't know if that's like fair to really say about Budenholzer, but I get your question. This yet is to be determined. I don't think, even if I had like all the great experts and all these great Suns podcaster people and all that on the show, and if I asked them that question, I don't know if like their analysis would be any better than mine. We don't know yet. Mike Budenholzer has not coached one game with the Suns yet. We don't know what this roster is even going to look like in 2 weeks on draft day. Oh, and by the way, y'all, literally a few days after the draft is NBA free agency. Get ready, y'all. So we can't really answer this question. Like, I know I'm avoiding the question here. I know I'm kind of like copping out or whatever, but like, I don't know, y'all. Like, that remains to be determined. But I will say this. If Mike Budenholzer can get this team, not just the big, well, yeah, especially the big three. If he can get the big three and the entire Suns team to shoot more threes, and as we've talked a lot about, hold themselves accountable, be better leaders on and off the court, be more connected, then yes, he is a lot different than Frank Vogel. Although, you know, I know I sound weird here, but like, it's not 110% Frank Vogel's fault for this past season. There's lots of others to blame, and I will hold everybody accountable. I will hold everybody, I will point the finger, even to Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley. They all deserve the blame, y'all. I don't know. Okay, let's keep going here. Quote, I don't know college basketball at all, so take that with a grain of salt. Dang, I didn't know Suns Geek was dropping bars today. I didn't even mean to rhyme that. That's funny, y'all. I should be a rapper, y'all. That's funny. Suns Geek is live. Must have to do with the Phoenix Suns. Shout out to my guy, Casey. All right, y'all. Let's see if there's any good comments here. Okay. I quickly read. It was just a fun little article. Do you think the Suns can trade Nurkic for Jalen Duren here? I slightly read an article before I went live, and I saw Jalen Duren's name here. First off, I'm a decently big fan of Jalen Duren. The dude is a big man, rebounding machine, pretty athletic. He'd be a lot of fun in the system. But unfortunately, that just doesn't make sense for Detroit. They're not going to trade for Yusuf Nurkic. They were worse. They were worse than they were the season before this season. You know what I mean? They went from 17 wins to the longest losing streak in NBA history to 14 wins. Unfortunately, we're not trading for Jalen Duren. As much as I would like that and welcome it, it's not happening. Okay, let's see. Let me kind of get to some more recent comments. Let me see. Michael Evans says, thought we were getting LeBron and Bronny playing with the big three next year. Hey, Michael, that still is yet to be determined, y'all. We'll see. Appreciate Stefan being, I hope I said your name right. Stefan, I hope I said your name correct. Good morning from Serbia. We got somebody from Serbia watching. Really love it. Good morning from Serbia. Hope we draft good. I agree with you. And something we're going to kind of talk about in a little bit here with the silly stuff. He says, Nikola Topic, I hope I said that name right. Nikola Topic, not Nikola Jokic, not Nikola Jovic. Nikola Topic would be amazing if available. I'm going to get back to that in a minute, Stefan, if you're still watching. I'm going to get back to that in a minute because that's something that I want to talk about with the silly stuff. Okay. Let's just make sure I didn't miss any comments here. Lufa says, at work right now, saw you was live, so I had to pop in real quick. I appreciate you, man. You know what? Tell your boss that Suns Geek says you can stop working and you can watch the live show. I will take the hit for you. I'll take the blame for you. You can tell him Suns Geek said that. Anyways, don't do that. Seriously. Don't do that. Jason says, I think the Suns should sign Luke Kennard in free agency. For the right price, I would welcome that. I know he's had some injury history, especially as of late, but what can Luke Kennard do? What's his specialty? He can shoot the three. Got pretty decent size, too. I would welcome Luke Kennard for the right price. I would welcome that. Let's see. Okay, I think that's all the comments there. Okay, Cool. So going back to the Nikola topic. I can't say that name. I need to learn how to pronounce that. Nikola Topic. That's what we're going to call him. Nikola Topic would be amazing if available. Now, I'm going to pull up this little graphic here. Not really graphic, this little banner. And I'm going to keep this up for a while. We're going to call this silly off-season stuff. This sort of goes back to the whole Bronny James stuff and LeBron James coming to Phoenix. I'm going to keep this banner up for a while because during the off season, y'all, look, I'm going to give you guys a little like quote insight, if you will, with being a content creator, being a Suns podcaster, whatever. When you do what I do and what many others do on YouTube, sometimes you have to kind of just talk about the silly stuff, the impossible stuff, the stuff that's probably not going to happen. Like I listen to Arizona sports a lot. They talk about stuff that's not going to happen a lot. And they talk about all the silly stuff and rumors and all that. So I'm calling this silly off-season stuff. Maybe I'll shorten it and just call it silly season. But I did read this. Now, real quick, I want to start with actually a tweet. And yes, this is going back to an Evan Sedry tweet here. This is where I want to start. And this does go back to the draft. So if you want some draft kind of insight, if you will, this is something to note. Now, I didn't read the ESPN story because I don't have ESPN Plus, but this is worth talking about. And I'm sure draft experts have talked about this already. So Nikola Topic, from the little homework I've done, he was and probably still will be a top 10 pick or at least a lottery pick. But there was once a point where he was probably a top 2 or 3 pick, if not the number 1 overall pick. But from the research I've read, I think he like kind of struggled this past season. And most recently, because this is a recent tweet, this is worth talking about if you're a draft fan and you've done your homework. So this tweet was put out on June 6, 2024. This is interesting, y'all. I find this stuff interesting. Nikola Topic measured with a 6'5.5" wingspan, standing at 6'7" per @Draft Express. By the way, you want real analysis, you want real draft insight and opinions, go to Draft Express and follow Jonathan Giovanni, or however you pronounce that name. Those are the real draft experts, y'all. But there was a story that came out on ESPN about Nikola Topic's measurements, wingspan. He recently suffered a torn ACL, suffered last month, along with a sub wingspan that could lead to a slide in the draft lottery. The long rumored wingspan of Topic was way off. Guys, that's interesting. So it seems like the wingspan was somehow not reported correctly, and he unfortunately suffered an ACL injury. Now, I don't wish injury upon anybody. That sucks. Think about it. Put yourself in Nikola Topic's shoes for a minute. You were like a potential, at one point, you were like a potential number 1 overall pick. You're probably still going to be like a lottery pick because of your like upside and potential, but like you just suffered an ACL injury and you're probably going to miss a chunk of the season. That sucks. I feel bad for him, man. But this is where I'm getting at here. And this is Suns. Well, not really. This is in the eye of the beholder if this is Suns related or not. Okay. So take this with a grain of salt. This is probably not going to happen. No, I'm going to rephrase my words there. This is like, I give this a 2% chance of happening. I give this a 2% chance this is going to happen. I read a story, if you want to even call it that. I read a story, an article of, let me click out of this first before I pull it up. How do I, okay, cool. Let me just do this real quick too, just in case. Cool. So this is on SI.com, and it says, top draft prospect could fall to the Suns. This is written by Kevin Hicks. I read Kevin Hicks's articles a lot, and I think he does good work, but this is like silly stuff that's probably not going to happen. So he says a top draft prospect could slide due to injury and the Suns could benefit. Hear me out, y'all. So he talks about Nikola Topic, a 6'6" point guard from Serbia, recently suffered a partially torn ACL in the pre-draft process. And his status, I'm going to highlight this so y'all can see what I'm talking about. And his status for what could be his rookie season appears to be tenuous. I hope I said that right, at best. Now, there's a little more information on The Athletic about the whole wingspan stuff, but Nikola Topic, a projected top 10 pick in the NBA draft, partially torn his ACL. His agent announced Topic will travel to the United States and will be evaluated by team or NBA team doctors who will decide on his surgery and treatment plan. Now you're like, hey, where do the Suns fit in all this? So if he happens to fall on draft day, and that's not crazy to think about. Real quick, let me remind you guys. Bol, who played for the Phoenix Suns last season, who, yes, I would welcome to bring back for the right price. Bol fell in the draft. Michael Porter Jr. fell in the draft. Lots of players fall in the draft. I think this I think this past draft, it was Cam Whitmore, I think, who fell. So let's just pretend for a minute that Nikola Topic falls in the draft. The debate that Kevin writes, the debate of would the Suns even consider Topic with the number 22 pick is something to really think about. So he shows Evan's tweet here. While Topic does have a high ceiling and is already far along with the intangible side of the game, and as a passer, he has a ways to go elsewhere, including as a shooter. And then, you know, he talks about how the Suns would have to really he'd be injured throughout most of the season. So the Suns would have to take that into consideration. There's like a highlight video right there. Now, this is where I want to focus on. In a draft full of risks, and as I said earlier, in a draft full of risks, in a very unpredictable draft, in a draft full of risks, Topic would be likely considered somewhere in between high risk, high reward. He would almost certainly be a safer pick compared to USC's Bronny James, and wouldn't be as practical as one of the bevy of the Suns, or big of the Suns, could take with the pick. So what he's pretty much saying, and I think it's unlikely, but it's fair. What he's pretty much saying here is if Nikola Topic falls, and that is a real possibility, especially with the ACL injury, if the Suns, in the very unlikely chance they keep their pick, maybe the Suns are like, hey, we got a G League team. We can heal you up. You can take all the time you need. You know, we're contending right now, but hey, we kind of want to build towards the future. Let's draft him. I don't think that's crazy, y'all. I know that sounds silly, but it's not crazy to think about. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I've talked a lot about it, but heck, even the Bronny James to Phoenix stuff is a real possibility. It's not as crazy to think about. And I know there's a lot of LeBron James haters, and I know a lot of people don't want LeBron on this team. Trust me, I've read my comments. I know, I've seen the comments. But the possibility of LeBron James somehow passing up $100 or $50 million to come play with Bronny and the Suns is not as crazy as people are making it out to be, y'all. Just saying. I've done a whole live show on that. You guys can go check it out. I did it, I think on Memorial Day, I did that live show. Go check that out. I've already talked about that. But anyways. All right, y'all. Let's get to one final topic because I am parched. I've already done this for an hour and a half. And again, in the next 2 weeks and post-draft and headed into free agency, it's going to be nothing but live shows, y'all. So this is like the kickoff, if you will. This is the kickoff to all my live shows. So I don't know if this is actually, let me rephrase my words there. This is nothing. You know what? Let's just start here. Let's start with this one tweet. It could be something. Yeah, let's play a game of, is this something or nothing? Let's start with this one tweet here from Suns Unitracker, who's awesome, by the way. Shout out to Suns Unitracker. He had this tweet a long time ago, and this was on June 5th, 2024, and he tagged sportslogos.net in it. And the tweet simply says, when you see it. That's all the tweet says. So let's click the picture so you guys can see it. It looks like it's just like some notes here. And it says, the 24-25 season, I will give a rundown of next season's city sets and the best that I can remember. He talks about the Sixers jerseys, Spurs jerseys, Sacramento, Portland. And then I'll lower my little graphic here so you guys can see it. On the bottom, Suns purple with the valley in white with orange outline. Now, I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe it's from people who Suns Unitracker knows. I don't know. And I believe he's talking about like the statement jerseys, you know, like the other new jersey that we get every year, which is awesome, by the way. So it says Suns purple with the valley in white with orange outline. So then Suns Unitracker got to work a little bit and he posted, I'm sure you guys saw it. Now, this isn't like, at least right now, it's not official. He just posted this and he tweeted, quote, I am not saying, I'm just saying. So is he teasing the fact that this is our, our upcoming Sun City Edition jersey? I mean, first off, I really do like it. I know a lot of people are a big fan of the Valley jerseys. I mean, maybe? Is that what he's talking about? First off, I also like the support that I saw. First off, there was a lot of responses to this tweet. I mean, it's got 430 likes right now, but there was a lot of responses and quote tweets and everything. I saw a lot of people in support for the El Valle jerseys, so that was pretty cool. I wouldn't mind bringing back the Valley jerseys, even though I think they're kind of, at least the black ones are kind of cursed because, we got blown out in them. But anyways, yeah, I wouldn't mind bringing these back for the City Edition jerseys. But I don't know. This could all change. I think it was worth talking about. I'm a fan of these jerseys. Let me know if y'all like these jerseys. And I think that's pretty much it, y'all. I'm kind of parched. It's, I'm just saying this, y'all. If I can mentally and physically do it, there's going to be a lot of live shows in the next 2 weeks. Who knows? We could all wake up tomorrow and have more Suns news to talk about. Who knows? Or maybe in a couple of days. We'll see. But anyways, y'all, this has been a great live show. Thank you for allowing me to do this. I love doing these Suns videos and live shows. I love the fact that if I want to, I can talk about the draft or I can talk about whatever. It's like, I love being able to do this. And the fact that there was 119 people in here who continued to listen after the Suns stuff was pretty much done. Like, you guys are real ones. The fact that you guys listen to me talk about 2 front office hires and an assistant coach was huge, man. You guys are awesome. And seriously, guys, I am going to do my best. I promise you, I will do my best to do as much Suns draft homework as I can. And I will do my best to do a live show, like, who knows, like in a couple of days or this upcoming weekend, and definitely closer to the draft. And I will be live on draft day and most likely in round 2, even though the Suns have no picks. At least I think I'll go live that second day. We'll see. but definitely on draft day. I'm going to try to get some guests too. So sort of a spoiler alert. I'm going to try to get some guests to, first off, just help me breathe. Like I won't be the only one talking that day. Maybe I'll try to get on some like quote experts, if you will. We'll get on some guests though. And lots of other live shows planned, because trust me, you guys, I got lots more that I want to talk about. And we will see what happens. Maybe there's more Suns news tomorrow. Maybe there's more Suns news on Friday. We'll see. So stay tuned, y'all. That's pretty much it for me, man. I have been on my free time, and I put free time in quotations because I've been doing a lot of draft homework and a lot of other stuff, but and I do have a second job outside of this, but in my free time, I've been playing a little bit of 2K, but I've been playing, and I know I'm like a year late, but I've been playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is awesome. I have some flaws with the game. I had a lot of nitpicks and gripes with Jedi Fallen Order. I felt like that game was like super challenging. Luckily with this game, they kind of did like a story mode where it's a lot easier, at least gameplay wise it is. But there's I have a lot of gripes and nitpicks with that game, but it's a fun game. I love the characters. BD1 is one of the coolest droids ever in Star Wars history, in my opinion. And Cal Kestis is an awesome character as well. Love the characters. If you've played if you played Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Bode is an awesome character as well. Been playing that. I have a few games on my wish list that I get like emails from, and Xbox is like, hey, these games are on sale. So I might be playing those soon. Beyond that, just been watching movies. What movies did I recently watch? We'll talk about some movies here for a second, then we'll wrap the show up. I wrote it down because I wanted to talk about it. I recently watched Forrest Gump, which is one of my all-time favorite films. I have it on Blu-ray. In fact, I got it right here. It's kind of a special collector's edition, 25th anniversary. I wanted to watch Forrest Gump because some of my family was recently watching it. I haven't watched it in a long time. I was like, I want to watch the bonus features and like the deleted scenes and all that. So I think I'm going to do that tonight. Yeah, we recently watched Forrest Gump. And what other films did I watch? I watched Inside Out because the second one's coming out soon. I watched the first two Harry Potter movies recently, and I want to watch the rest of the Harry Potter movies. So, yeah, just been watching movies, playing video games, hanging out with my dogs and family. So life is good, y'all. And again, you guys help me to enjoy this life. And you guys allow me to do this YouTube stuff. And I really do appreciate it. So even if you're not subscribed, I highly recommend that you guys subscribe. The best way to support me, y'all, is just to keep watching. Like, yes, I want you to Hulk smash the like button. And seriously, do it. Crush that like button. Share the show. Tag me in a post if you share it. Tag me in it. That really helps too. Word of mouth helps as well. But at the end of the day, the best way to keep supporting me is just to keep watching. Even if you hate my guts and you hate my face and you hate my insight and analysis, please keep watching. Just keep listening. That's seriously the best way to support the channel. So, Jason, thank you so much. He says, you have a blessed night. Thank you, sir. You guys have a blessed night as well. I really do mean that. You guys have a blessed night. Stay safe. And seriously, you guys, get ready. I'm going to do my best to do so many live shows coming up this upcoming week, next 2 weeks, headed into the draft, free agency. It's going to get nuts, y'all. And with that being said, y'all, God bless you guys. Stay safe out there. Love each other. Be kind to each other. Be patient with people out there, y'all. Be nice to people. Spread kindness. I love you guys. God bless you guys. Peace out. Win or lose, Phoenix Suns for life. And as always, go Suns.
What's up, son?